Thank you very much. Maybe not climbing up Kilimanjaro, but I think I have a more pressing task, because when Michael was talking about fish, I thought, my goodness, he's reminding everybody that I'm standing between them and lunch. And I'm just so grateful that we have such a disciplined audience here, and you are actually staying for this next presentation. From this very thoughtful presentation that Michael just gave, I'm bringing you a little bit back to basics, if you will, and go from fish to cheetah. And to that end, I have entitled this presentation Africa, a New Frontier or False Dawn for Sustainable Private Equity. And what I want to do is touch on three things. First of all, talk about our sustainability model. Secondly, broadly about Africa, why Africa is an important investment destination and not just a place for our philanthropic interests. And then thirdly, I will talk briefly about private equity and why sustainable private equity is an important medium to generate the growth that we need to generate, to get the type of alphas, to get the type of structured returns that we desperately need for our pension funds, for our children, for the generation to come. So the next slide, please. Stephen is my friend in the corner there, who is going to work with me. The first bit I just want to talk a little bit about is our sustainability model. For us, and just keep going, Stephen, yeah, there we go. For us, sustainability is really a holistic approach. Looking at, I'm not sure you can see that very well, but really looking at things in a comprehensive way. First of all, talking about geography. What area are we focused on? Impact is not just in an isolated sense, a little rubric on the corner, but if I look at my geography, am I making an impact by virtue of investing into a particular geography? That is defined by need and demand. It is causing leapfrogging of technologies where appropriate, and is preserving environmental capital. Secondly, the sectors that we are investing in. We have been talking about the principles of Islamic finance, for example, or earlier on, the gentleman who spoke about being the chairman of a company that sells alcohol. We're not here to promote one sector or another, but just to think in terms of what types of sectors am I investing in that are really having a positive social impact, and are the sectors that I'm choosing to focus on, are they growth sectors at the core of poverty alleviation? Thirdly, a rigorous investment analysis. What are the ESG principles that we are focusing on, qualitative and quantitative assessments. And then last but not least, accountability. While I am not an accountant, I'm a lawyer by training, I firmly believe that we need to be able to measure things to really have the right results. And whether we like it or not, people behave in the way that we pay them. I've been an investment banker for a long time, and it never ceased to amaze me that we were saying one thing on this side, but we were paying people to behave on this side. Guess what happened? It doesn't matter what we say, it's how we pay people, how we incentivize people, and how we hold people accountable that really makes a difference. So with that in mind, really we're focusing on the environmental impact. We believe first and foremost that for an investment to be sustainable, it has to generate a superior financial return. And certainly that, if we want this impact investing concept to take off, I think we have to stop making people choose, investors choose between the return and impact. I think the superior financial returns in this process are absolutely crucial. So economic impact, environmental impact, social impact, and governance. And I think a lot more will be said about each of these factors. Let me just make one quick point about governance, because certainly I think particularly in the African context, it is nigh to impossible to maximize returns if you don't have a company that is well governed, that is transparent, that has very solid accounting standards. And that's not just true in the African context, it is true with Lehman, with etc. I mean, books will be written about this for times to come. Next slide, please. So that was very briefly about our sustainability model, a very holistic model. Secondly, I want to talk about Africa and why this is an important destination for investors, for sophisticated investors. We have been inundated with concepts about BRIC, and I just want to get a feel here from asset owners. How many have invested in BRIC countries? And out of curiosity, how many have read Jim O'Neill's recent article on extending BRIC to the ASEAN BRIC potentially being Southern Africa? A few of you. Well, it's fascinating to me that if we look at if we look at this slide. As investors, we have only a few things to go by because none of us has a crystal ball. But one of the things we absolutely have to look at is population. And where are our future markets? Who are the future fish buyers? where are these people? And whether we like it or not, I'm European by background. If I look at our demographics in Europe, we are shrinking. We are one of the continents that is going to have fewer people in 2050 than we have now. America is barely growing. China is barely growing. If you look at the population explosion, India is going to add another 500 million people by 2050. But the continent that is by far growing the absolute fastest, the continent that is going to double, is Africa. By 2050, we are going to have 2 billion people in Africa. And I don't want to hear people say AIDS is going to decimate the continent. It's just not the case. We are looking at a very large consumer base that an intelligent investor cannot possibly ignore. In addition to that, Africa has almost 40% of natural resources. It has this enormous landmass. We can take the US, America, China, and put them all on the African continent, and there are still bits left over. It has a labor force that is expanding by 4% a year, and yet at the moment, about 3% of foreign direct investment, of global foreign direct investment, goes into Africa. So clearly, just by virtue of the population, of the demographics, it is a place where we should be looking. And about 3 years ago, I will never forget this, a very sophisticated Chinese businessman looked at us and he was just shaking his head and he said, "I don't understand you people from the West. You are all plowing into China right now. Why aren't you looking for a change where the smart Chinese are investing?" And I can assure you, I see the smart Chinese all over Africa. So, population, first of all. Secondly, climate change. And next slide, please, Stephen. If you go to the next one. Yeah, this is a very interesting map, and we need to keep going. There we go. It is quite ironic that the continent with the lowest emissions stands to lose the most. If the world increases, the world temperature increases by 2 degrees centigrade, this is the impact. As you can see, those of us in Europe, in the States, and so forth,